Waiting on him to change is self-abandonment. If you're waiting on him to become who he could be, you're abandoning yourself. And what I want you to understand is that that's not loyalty. That's self-abandonment dressed up as hope. If he wanted to change, you wouldn't have to beg for growth.
I was a fool to begin, trying to bargain again. My love to you, but I know better now. Damn it, every rolling out, just to give it all.
Let's talk about the most common ways women lose years off their life in relationships. Waiting on a man to change, not because you're weak, not because you're stupid, but because you're loyal, hopeful, and you keep believing the version of him you met at the beginning was the real him. And see, today I'm giving you 3 truths that will snap you out of the waiting room, and the way to tell the difference between real growth and future faking. Now, the ways that you can tell that you're in a relationship with potential and not reality is truth number 1. You're not dating him. You're dating his potential. The version of him that could be consistent, the version of him that could communicate, the version of him that could choose you fully. But see, what we fail to realize is that potential is a dangerous drug, because what it does, it keeps you investing in a fantasy while your real life is passing you by. So what I want you to do is say this clearly. You might have to rewind and say it with me, but say this clearly. The man I'm with today is the man I'm choosing, not the man he promises to become, not the man I saw in a glimpse, and not the man he is when he's scared I'll leave. So you have to say that to yourself. And I also have a reality check question for you. If he never changes, will you still want him? Would you still want this relationship? Another one is, am I staying for love or staying for hope? And then the other is, am I building a life or am I building a case? These are tough questions, but they have to be asked in order for you to really see what you're getting yourself into. Because I want you to understand is that hope without evidence isn't hope. It's a delayed tactic. And you're just delaying the inevitable. Another point to understand is that waiting trains him that you will tolerate neglect, because that's what you've been doing all this time. And so another truth I want you to understand is waiting teaches him that there's no consequences to his actions, to the way that he mistreats you, because every time he disappoints you, you stay. And the relationship becomes proof that he doesn't have to rise, he doesn't have to elevate, he doesn't have to change. So what I want to do is break it down just a little bit. He ignores your need, you explain nicer. He crosses your boundaries, you forgive faster. He lies or disappears, you understand his trauma. He breadcrumbs you, you call it effort. See how that works? And now you're doing emotional labor like it's a second job. So what I want you to do is to say it like this. My patience is not a prize. My loyalty is not a license for him to waste my time. And understand that the key truth to this, for you to understand, is that boundaries aren't what you say. Because we can talk to her blue in the face. Boundaries are not what you say. Boundaries are what you do when behavior continues, when bad behavior continues, when behavior continues that do not align with what you desire. So a quick way to set that boundary and say it and mean it, I want to give you this punchline real quick, and I'm going to put it on the screen as well. When someone crosses your boundaries and you're communicating, you say, I love you, but I'm not available for inconsistency. If you want to build with me, Actions have to match your words. If not, I'm choosing me. And in some cases, you don't even have to say it. Just do it and just let it be. But a lot of times, what we want to do is give people the opportunity to show improvement. Now, when you say this, if he only changes when you're halfway out the door, that's not growth, that's control. It's almost like you have to make him choose you or choose the relationship. And you don't want to have to make a person do that. That's when you begin to go through that emotional laboring, that emotional roller coaster. And then number three, the point that I want to make is waiting is self abandonment because you keep shrinking to try to make something work. And you're the only one doing the work. You're the only one laboring. You're the only one waiting. They're out living their life doing exactly what they want to do. But here you are hanging on. Waiting makes you disappear because you start negotiating with your own standards. You stop asking for what you want because it starts a fight. And the last thing you want to do is start a fight. But the reality is you're not starting the fight. They're starting the fight because they don't want to give you what you know that you need. You stop being honest because he calls you dramatic. You start performing peace so the relationship doesn't fall apart. So now you can't even be yourself because you're trying to hold on to someone who is not dedicated to helping the relationship grow. And what you do is you slowly become a version of you that can survive him, not elevate with him or grow with him, but survive him. And that's when you get that ride or die. And we don't want to be a ride or die. Self abandonment isn't always leaving yourself for another person. Sometimes it's staying and leaving yourself inside the relationship. Repeat that. Rewind that and repeat that. So I want to give you a few signs that you are abandoning yourself. You're constantly anxious, overthinking, and monitoring your partner's mood. You're exhausted from talking about the same thing over and over again because nothing is changing. You're the only one researching, healing, explaining, compromising. You see how exhausting that can be when it's only a one-way street when it should be a two-way street? You keep lowering the bar and calling it maturity, but really you're just lowering your standards and accepting crumbs. You don't recognize yourself anymore. You're becoming someone totally off kilter because you want a person who does not want you back, who does not meet you at the level in which you deserve. So I want you to, I'm going to reframe it. Love isn't supposed to cost you your dignity. Commitment isn't supposed to cost you your peace. If the relationship requires you to be smaller in order to be loved, it's not love, it's attachment. This is how you exit out of the waiting room. You don't need more time, you need more truth. And once you realize you need truth over time, you'll realize that you've been in a waiting room far too long. How do you tell real change from future faking? Because most people will lay it on thick, right? And so what real change looks like is consistent behavior over time, not just a one-time thing. And it also looks like ownership without excuses. Like no one's explaining or having an excuse as to why, they're just doing it. Acting without prompting. So they're moving without you even saying anything. And see, those type of things go without saying. They work on repairing the relationship without manipulation. Because a lot of people don't know how to do that. And then you notice effort continues when you're not threatening to leave. And now that's how you know that someone is really in it for the long haul or in it to elevate. Now, future faking, because I want you to understand what that looks like too, is big promises after big mistakes, tears with no plan, because people will fake cry. And then you have these short good streaks. Oh, he did this, and then it's right back. So it's followed by the same cycle, right? And blaming you for how you react to what they did. You've seen it before, so you know what it looks like. Be honest with yourself. Now, if you have to beg for basic respect, you're not in a relationship. You're in a negotiation with your own worth. So, what I want you to do is in the comments, comment me if you're done waiting. And I can drop a part 2 on how to detach without crawling back. Because sometimes we need that. A lot of times we need that. And if you're healing from toxic love, grab my book. Link is in the comments. Grab some coaching if that's what you need. Because we're not turning our pain into our personality anymore. So follow for more secure woman truths. And I want you to understand that this is your reminder that you don't have to be chosen in order to choose yourself. So stop waiting on him to change and come back to you. And I'll see you on the next video.